Welcome to Gabby, the Marriage and Family podcast, where it will be okay. We are your hosts, marriage counselors Terrell and Tanisha Pugh. We are a family of 9 who, after the death of our daughter, learned that life was going to be okay. And now, we help other families in distress realize the same. Are you ready to heal and learn that your marriage and family will be okay? Well, let's get started.
Hello, this is Terrell Pugh, and thank you so much for listening to the Gabby podcast. How would you like to do what you love, working with couples as a marriage coach or with individuals and families as a Christian counselor? Well, we can help you over at tntpugh.com. That's tntpew.com. Hey, we'd love to help you get started today, again, working as a marriage coach or a Christian counselor. Head over to tntpew.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to another episode of Gabby, where it will be okay. I'm your host, Tanisha Pugh, and
Terrell Pugh.
today I'm so glad that you've decided to tune in and listen to this episode. I know we've been discussing the topic of trauma, and we're taking a slight detour today.
Yes, just a little detour, not too long, just a one episode detour.
Yes, that's right. Instead, we're going to talk about love.
Yes, love, Love.
Yes. And so you may be wondering, we're going to talk about love. We just came from trauma. We're going to talk about love. Well, yes, we're going to talk about love today because we think that we have something that may be very helpful for couples to remember as they seek to more effectively communicate with each other and connect.
Absolutely.
So, what is this love thing, Terrell?
Yes, what is love? And I will say it's still very much related to trauma, and it's related to just how you interact with your spouse, just in general, right? So love, it's not in the sense that you're probably thinking, but then again, it is in a sense that you're thinking. So love is an acronym that we use to teach communication, to teach couples how to communicate. I was mixing my words up there. But yeah, we use this acronym to teach couples how to communicate. And what the acronym stands for, LOVE, it stands for leave opinions. That's LO, leave opinions. Validate experiences. So leave opinions, validate experiences.
Yes.
And so when we're working with couples, that's what we give them. We tell them to love each other. And in other words, leave opinions, validate experience. And so we're going to break this down and explain exactly what this means and how it can benefit and impact you and your communicative exchange with your spouse, and also help in understanding traumatic experience.
Break it down.
So you're a DJ today, or
Yep.
or a beatboxer. You ever beatbox? But you're Jamaican, so you have to chat. And for those,
I don't even know what's a chat.
What? Oh my gosh! If there's any Jamaican listeners, they're going to be like,
"What is a chat?"
She doesn't. Okay. It's like for hip hop you freestyle and rap. For reggae you chat. Right? I mean, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm American, so I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
but I think that's what it is.
If you're probably saying some American word that I just don't know.
I don't know. If you're looking at this on YouTube and you're Jamaican, please chime in the comment section and let us know who's right. Am I right, or is my wife right?
Oh, boy.
I know they say wife is always right.
I think he needs to love, guys.
But
I'm kidding.
So so love.
Yes.
When you're having a difficult time, love each other. When you are having a difficult time communicating, love each other. When you are having a difficulty connecting, love each other. When you're having a difficult time understanding, love each other. I can go on and on.
Yeah.
So leave opinions, validate experiences.
Yes. So what's brought us to this topic, or what's brought us to this kind of approach to help couples really understand how absolutely important it is for your spouse to feel validated by you. You know, the marital relationship, as we always talk about it, is it's a privileged relationship where certain experiences, there are just certain things you expect when you're in that relationship, and expecting that sense or safety of validation is one of those expectations. And oftentimes we see it so frequently where if one spouse would simply
Leave.
discard
Yep.
their opinions.
That's right. Leave
You
your
know?
opinion.
Yes, you don't have to always agree with a situation or a matter to provide validation. All validation is, it's saying, you know what? Your experience is real. It's valuable. There is value in me recognizing that your experience is real.
That's right. And I'll
Right?
say this. And so, an official definition for validation is identifying something. There's two components to validation:
Yes.
recognizing that something is worth your time, it's worthwhile,
Mm-hmm.
and that it has value.
Yes.
Think about it like a coupon, right? When you have a coupon, or even money. Money is a type of coupon, if you will, right? And you exchange it for something. So money has a value,
Yeah.
and it's also worth your time. You
Yes.
earn something when you work. You earn it. So it's valuable and it's worth your time. Validation is the same way. So my thoughts, my opinion, my experience, all of who I am, I want to know that it's validated. I want to know that it's worth your time
That's
and that it
valuable.
has value
Yes.
when I go to cash it in a sense. And me cashing it in would be me bringing it to you.
That's right. That's right. And so I think the biggest difficulty or challenge individuals may have is separating agreement from validating.
Yeah. And actually, before we get into the validation, let's not go too far into this before we talk about the first part of this, leaving opinion.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
So I know that sounds very
point.
straightforward, leaving opinions, right? But let's talk about what does leaving opinions look like?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Why is that even part of the acronym for that we've come up with for love? Why?
Right. So, have you ever been in a situation where you and your spouse, you're having a discord, you're having a conversation, and it almost feels like you're in a courtroom? And so you have to present evidence to support your feelings. You have to, build a case, all for the purpose of having your opinion looked at.
Yeah.
And that often happens when, as you're sharing your experience with your partner, with your spouse, they're saying to you, well, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Or, you know what, that's not really what that means. Or, you know what, I think maybe if you did this, that would change your situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the reason you feel the spouse who's presenting, the reason that spouse that's presenting feel like they're in a courtroom is because of the constant opinion or
That's right.
devaluing or, not really taking that other person's experience for what it really is.
That's right. No, you're right. And I'll say this. I think a fear that a lot of people have, and so if you're listening to this, this might resonate with you, but I think a fear that a lot of people have is, I don't want to validate an incorrect experience, right? I don't want to validate something that isn't true, isn't happening, whatever it is. I don't want to move forward with a narrative that's unhealthy or not true. And this is so far from what actually happens when you do this, when you leave your opinion and you validate the experiences. We will get into that shortly. But the first part of this is to, yes, exit out of that courtroom scenario.
Yeah.
Leave your opinions.
Yeah, that's right. I like what you said there when you said the fear is, I don't want to validate an incorrect narrative. When your spouse is sharing their experience with you, it's important that we take ourselves out of it.
Yes.
And we completely turn toward our partner who's at that moment in time, they have the stage, if
That's
so
right.
to speak.
That's right. And with that, you leave your opinion.
Yeah.
Everything that's my thoughts. So if me and you, okay, me and you, Tanisha, if me and you were in this situation, right, and you came to me with something, that's my opportunity to put my stuff to the side, for me to sort of leave my opinions.
That's right.
My opinions include what I think, how I feel.
Yes.
Now, I want you to understand this also. This doesn't mean you abandon it completely.
That's right.
To never be addressed. And that's the other fear. The other fear is, well, if I leave my opinion, then my position, what I feel, what my experience is, that will never be validated. That will never get attended to. And so we sort of push our agenda because we fear that we will not be heard.
Where does that come from? So I hear the fear that you won't be heard. Do you think that's attributed to our natural, too natural, right? Because we come out of the womb crying. Our natural instinct to be at the center?
No, I think, so what you said in the beginning, I think, so it could be layered, right? Yes. For some individuals, it is the desire to be in the center, right? I want to be the one that's tended to. But just naturally speaking, let's say in a completely healthy individual, who has no trauma, who's sort of worked through their stuff, who is very securely attached to their spouse and other loved ones, right? You can't really find anything psychologically disturbed about that person. There's still a very natural and innate desire in all of us to have our needs met. And like you said, we come out the womb crying. When we're children, we don't get what we want, we cry. That behavior doesn't change. It just looks different.
Some people cry, honey.
I mean, some people do cry, right? When you're
right here. Yes, I do.
But our crying looks different, right?
Yes.
I might, as an adult, I may not roll on the floor and kick my feet and pound my hands on the floor.
Yes, you do.
I hope I don't do that.
I'm just imagining that look, grown man on the floor.
You're revealing my secrets to our audience.
I'm kidding.
But my cry might look different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think it is innate, but there could be other reasons too. For example, it could be an insecure attachment because I don't know what it's like to self-soothe. I don't know what it's like to have my needs, or I don't know what it feels like for a need to not be met, but me still be okay with not having that need met.
Yeah, and so to the point of that insecure attachment, I think is trust.
Yes.
There's a lack of trust. I don't trust that if I sit here and listen to you tell me about how what I did, an action from me, resulted in you having a negative experience, I don't trust that you'll be able to hear what my true intentions were. I don't trust that you'll be able to, you're going to be willing to hear me out afterwards. And so we just skip over validating. We want to insert our opinions in there because of fear, lack of trust, and us wanting to be at the center, wanting our needs attended to.
Absolutely. And so with this, this is a sacrificial behavior, because you are saying it's not easy. And you are saying, look, my hurt right now, I'm going to put that on hold to hear you. Right? I'm going to leave my opinions. That's the LO and the love. And granted, it may not always be this type of a situation. It may not always be a sacrifice. Maybe you're okay. Maybe you've just gotten into a bad habit of trying to fix things or trying to just hurry up and rush to a solution without validating. Maybe it's as simple as that. But for some others, it will be more complicated. It will be rooted in some of the things that you've mentioned.
Right.
Yeah.
So then let's go to validating experience. Are we ready to move there?
Yeah, let's move to the validation, and then we'll talk to the experience, right? To what experience is. But validation, right? Earlier we said validation is value and worthwhile. So those are the two components. Appreciation, that's part of validation. There's a lot of synonyms that go along with that. Acknowledgement of what's going on, right? Sort of connecting with your spouse. That's also included in the validation.
So here are some examples of what that may look like. So tell me an experience you've had.
An experience that I've had.
That I created for you, perhaps.
I remember one
Not
time.
that one. I'm kidding.
No. Wow. You really threw me a curveball right here. I can't really think of a scenario on the spot. Let's just say
I've given you some experience.
I'm sure.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's just say maybe I want. Okay, this is a marital thing, right? Men and women. Maybe I want to be intimate, right? And you don't want to be intimate. And maybe we haven't been intimate for, maybe it's been a week, maybe it's been a few days. I don't know. Whatever is outside.
It's never been that long. Just for the record.
Yes, that's true. I can vouch to that. I can vouch to that. Healthy sex life. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, wife. If you can't see us, if you're listening to this, we just clapped. No, but
well, you make it easy.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. If you're listening to this or looking at this, come to counseling. We'll help you get on a regular sexual schedule with your spouse. But yes, maybe that's the issue. I know a lot of couples face that from the husband's perspective. He wants to be intimate, but the wife is not desiring intimacy, and so the husband then throws the tantrum, right? And the tantrum of a husband can look like an array of things. So yeah, what would the validating my experience look like in that type of a situation?
So, your tantrum could just be what you came to me and you're saying, I always feel like you never wanna make love, you never wanna have sex with me.
Yeah, so there we go. Let me go into that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I come to you and I say, yeah, you know what? I feel like we don't have sex. Whenever I initiate, you never want to do it. And when we do engage in sex, you just lay there. You're not really engaged, and then that doesn't make me feel good. And so this is me coming to you with my experience. Okay. How would you leave your opinions and validate me in this?
All right. So you feel like I'm not tending to your needs.
Yes, I feel like you're not. And we're role playing right now, by the way. Yes, I feel like you're not tending to my needs. It's like I said before, and I always say this, it's just, I just don't like it. This is not what a marriage is supposed to be.
So I sense that you feel a bit frustrated and disappointment.
I do. Yes, I'm very disappointed and very frustrated.
Yeah. I can understand frustration for sure. Well, let's talk about it. Okay. So in that, I didn't just jump to an apology. See, some people may attribute validation with, "Oh, I'm sorry," but you don't understand the full picture yet before you jump to an apology. And that's a knee-jerk compulsive response that may not be real.
That's right. And let me say this, impulsive responses are disingenuous.
Correct.
Because they don't come from the actual decision-making part of your brain. Impulsivity comes from the emotional part of your brain that's responsible for fight or flight. So if you're just impulsively saying, okay, yes, I'm sorry, I'll do whatever you want. Impulse, emotional response, it's not going to last. You're not going to do that thing.
Yeah.
Your decision needs to come from your frontal cortex, which is responsible for your rational thinking, where you've taken time, you've thought about it, and then you've reached the conclusion of, I'm sorry. I understand how this has impacted you, and I genuinely want to do better and not repeating it.
That's right. And so the other observation I want you each to make of that exchange is, yes, I didn't jump to an apology, and I also didn't negate his experience. Yeah. Our experience is our experience. Now that we've validated, and validation can look, it could look a little different based on what the situation is.
Yeah.
So another way to have validated his experience.
And before you get to another version of that,
sure.
Can we do that same version of, but what invalidation would look like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I want you to keep that image in your mind of validation being linked to money. Okay, worthwhile and valuable. So imagine if you went somewhere with money, you go to pay for it, but they tell you your money's no good here, and they turn you away. It's invalid. But yes.
All right. So
want me to restart the scenario?
yes,
Okay.
let's do it.
What is it? Act 2. Take 2. All right. So I'm coming to you. I feel like we never have sex. The last time we had sex was 2 weeks ago. And whenever I come to you, you make it difficult. You're always grouchy. And when we do engage, you just lay there and, you make me feel weird. And I just don't like it. It's just, this is not what things are supposed to be.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know where this is all coming from. We just had sex yesterday.
No, we didn't. It was 2 weeks ago. I literally tracked it on my calendar.
Okay, I think that maybe you're not keeping track well enough because you think about sex all the time.
I don't think about sex all the time. And if I did think about sex all the time, it's only with you. And you're not, and nothing's happening.
Well, have you ever stopped to think that maybe I'm just tired?
But you're always tired. You always say that you're tired.
I'm not always tired.
All right. So we can go down that road forever, right? And some of you that are listening or looking, that might be a similar story to yours situation. And it may even get progressively worse, right? It may lead to arguments. And so what's happening there, the invalidation, essentially what's going on, you guys are sort of handing off your stuff to the other person, and no one is truly validating, right? So I'm giving my stuff to Tanisha. I'm giving my experience to Tanisha. And Tanisha's saying, well, your experience is invalid, but here's my experience. My experience is valid. Her experience being she's tired. And then I take that and I say, well, you're tired, but that experience isn't valid. It's invalid. Take it back. Here's my experience. This is valid. And you play that volleyball back and forth, back and forth. No one validating. Everything's invalid.
Right.
No one's leaving their experience. No one's leaving their opinion. And no one's experience is being validated.
Yes.
And there's no love in that.
That's right. There is no love in that. A cool thing happens when you validate.
Yeah.
It's so cool. You want to know what it is?
What is it?
The person puts down their guard.
I thought you was going to say rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles.
But yes, when I feel validated by you, darling, I feel safe.
That's true. That's true. And likewise, when I feel validated by you, I also feel safe.
Yeah.
Validation is like a breath of fresh air. Yeah. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about experience.
Yes.
There's a reason why we use that word experience, right? So again, if you're following us, LOVE, we want you to learn how to love your spouse for better communication, for better interactions, for better understanding of hurt, of trauma, of just experiences.
Yes.
So that word experiences covers a wide range of phenomena in a person's life. So that word experience covers your thoughts. Your thoughts can be experiential. It covers your emotions, right? Your emotions also is an experience. It covers your feelings, which is different from thoughts and emotion. And we have a course, an online course that explains that. But that's also a difference. That's sort of the combination of your thoughts and emotions. And then you create a feeling. But that includes your feelings. It also includes your sensations, sort of what your body does. So those physiological changes that happen in your body. So for example, maybe, right, maybe I feel tense, and I feel tense as in response to a situation.
Yeah.
So experience covers a lot of things.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so that's why, because you aren't the person with the experience, you want to give the other person room for theirs, to have theirs and to share what theirs is like for you. You have to get curious about it versus, chiming in with your opinion. Now, what if that person's experience is grounded or rooted in an untruth?
Okay. Perfect.
Right?
Yep. And that's what some of you are probably thinking. Well, what if that experience is just not, like you said, grounded in truth? What if it's grounded in um, a misunderstanding or a misconception,
Yeah.
or maybe unresolved trauma in that person's personal history and
Yeah.
personal life? Well, here's the thing. Remember, Tanisha said just a little while ago, the magical thing that happens when you validate, right? And it wasn't the sprinkles, rainbows, and unicorn, like I said.
No.
And it wasn't the hot sign outside of a Krispy Kreme.
Oh dear.
That is a magical thing. If you've ever seen hot outside of Krispy Kreme,
Yeah.
that's magical.
I don't know what the whole deal is about Krispy Kreme donuts. They're not that great.
You're about to upset a lot of people right now by saying that. We want people to watch this.
It's not that great.
No, it's good. It's good. Tanisha's hooked on these jelly.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, I thought you was gonna say the jelly donuts from Jamaica.
Well, oh my goodness, there's nothing like it. And if you're Jamaican, you know what I'm talking about. I forget what they used to call them. I don't remember what they called them, but they look like Dunkin' Donuts. But the jelly on the inside, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll go back to Jamaica just to have one.
I do not like jelly donut. I'm not a jelly donut guy.
Ooh, I'm
You know
booking a
that.
flight to Jamaica. We gotta go
Just
back.
for the donuts.
Just for the donuts.
Oh boy, what was you saying? I'm being thrown off track here.
Yes, we were talking about magic, the magical
Yes,
thing
the
that
magic,
happens.
the magic. How can I forget Krispy Kreme donuts? Yes, of
Yes.
course. But no, yeah. So the magical thing that happens is when you validate, when you engage in validation, the person's guards come down. Because
Yes.
prior to that, a person's guard is up. So
Yeah.
if they don't experience love, if that love is not present, leave in opinions, validate experiences. If that love is not present, I'm going to guard my heart. I'm going to guard my thoughts. I'm going to guard my
I can't
emotions.
trust you. I don't feel safe.
That's right.
You're not going to take care of me.
That's right. And part of that, or part of what I'm guarding, it's like a vegetation.
Gadding.
Yeah. Part of what I'm guarding,
Gardening.
I know, right? Is
Sorry.
no, that's good. That's good. Part of what I'm guarding could be an incorrect narrative that I've been holding on to, that I feel comforted by.
Yeah.
It could be anything like that.
Yeah.
But once you validate and that guard comes down, I can hear you more clearly. I can now be receptive and open to a difference of opinion
Yes.
or a change in mind. But prior to that, it will not happen.
Exactly. So you're actually cutting out all the extra stuff, like that back and forth we were going through. No, you don't. Yes, I do. You always. No, I don't always. You're cutting all of that out
Yes.
simply by saying, "Wow, so that's your experience. My goodness. Okay. I didn't know that. Tell me about that. That must be difficult. That must stink. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Right?
It is. My wife, she likes to buy Dunkin' Donuts instead of Krispy Kreme donuts, and it's finally good to hear that you understand why Krispy Kreme donuts are better.
Oh, I didn't say all that.
No, but that's usually the response, right?
Yeah.
The ice gets broken, and
Yeah.
the person responds and says, "Yes, thank you for understanding."
That's right. So let's play that all the way out, right? So
Yeah.
I've validated your experience of feeling that you have a sexless marriage. Now let's move from there.
Yeah.
So
And we're back into role play, by the way.
yes,
Action.
yes. So that's your experience.
Wow. I don't know. I think this might be one of the first times you're actually hearing me. But yes, that is my experience. It does feel good for you to acknowledge that. I thank you for, connecting to me with that. Before, I felt that, I don't know, I felt like you just was criticizing me and just,
You felt I made you feel weird.
yeah, I even felt weird, like these desires that I had, that I wasn't supposed to have them.
So
And
I never want you to feel that. Want you to know you're definitely not weird. You have a healthy desire for your wife, to be
Yeah.
with your wife.
and I do want to be with you. Yes. It's glad. Thank you.
Yeah.
And look, I know sometimes I could, I can be a bit insensitive as it relates to you being tired and, me helping you out. And, I'm going to try to do better in that area. So I know that. I know that.
Yeah. And I'll try to be more intentional about making sure we have time together. Because I will say, thank you for saying that part. That's sometimes some of my experience is that I feel like you don't care about the fact that I'm exhausted.
And so we'll stop here. And so I'll say this. In this moment, we've completed the LOVE. We've completed the leaving opinion and validating experience. And what's happening now,
Communication. Connecting.
but even more importantly, to the acronym, we feel loved. Like I can legitimately, in a situation like that, would say, you know what, I feel loved right now. I feel loved.
You're loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why this is so important, because you want to love your spouse in this way. It gets you through so many things. And now what happens is, if you noticed in our role play, I began to look at myself. I said, well, maybe I am a bit insensitive. Maybe I am a bit demanding or what have you. And so whereas if Tanisha tried to get me to see that before, my defenses would have been up, and vice versa. Her defenses would have been up.
So the moral, and I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. The I want you guys to really get this. Let this be a big takeaway from this discussion.
Yeah.
You must exercise love in your approach to communicating with your spouse. You have to exercise love. It cuts out unnecessary back and forth, bickering. It cuts that all out. It makes your spouse feel closer to you and makes your spouse feel heard.
Yes.
Feel seen. If you're not leaving your opinions and validating experience, you're going to find that communication is just going to be atrocious.
That's right.
That's the best way to put it.
Right.
And maybe not atrocious, but it's going to be difficult.
No, it'll be atrocious. That's a good word. I remember my 10th grade English teacher would use that word as she described us in class. Yeah, I know. That's how I learned that word. She would say, you guys are atrocious.
Oh my goodness.
I went to school in New York City, and it was, kids was all over the place, swinging from the lights.
Yikes. Well, I remember we had a Jamaican science teacher, and he called us hooligans. You hooligans!
Oh boy. But no, yes, the communication, it will need a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yes. So start by exercising love. I know we didn't go through a whole plethora of teaching on communication, but I promise you this: if you attempt to really put in place this practice of love, you'll find that your communication will rise leaps and bounds. It'll improve significantly, truly.
Absolutely. So remember, leave opinion.
Validate experience.
That's right. Leave opinion.
Validate experience.
Leave opinion.
Love.
No.
Validate experience.
Yes. But that's all we have for you for today. We just wanted to sort of interrupt our normally scheduled program. We were talking about trauma. And so next week, what we're going to get into, we'll get into financial trauma. That's what we're going to talk about, what financial trauma is and how that is impactful to a marriage.
Yes.
In a marital setting, and of course the impact to family.
Yes.
And to get through marital trauma, financial trauma, you're going to need love.
Oh, yes.
You're going to need love.
That's
You're
right.
going to need to leave opinions and validate experience.
That's right. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Again, have everything
will be okay.
It will be okay. Might be challenging, might have ups and downs, but it will be okay. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello, this is Terrell Pugh, and thank you so much for listening to the Gabby podcast. How would you like to do what you love, working with couples as a marriage coach or with individuals and families as a Christian counselor? Well, we can help you over at tntpugh.com. That's tntpugh.com. Hey, we'd love to help you get started today. Again, working as a marriage coach or a Christian counselor, head over to tntpew.com. Thank you.